Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to be featuring a Brawl deck with Sokka and Suki as our commander, as part of our series of Brawl videos featuring commanders from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Whenever Sokka and Suki or another ally we control enters, we can attach an equipment to that creature without paying its equip cost, so our commander's triggered ability is great with equipment with high equip costs. What is more, while our commander is in play, whenever an equipment we control enters, we make a 1/1 ally token, which means that we can immediately attach the equipment we just played onto our newly created ally. Our commander's ability to attach equipment to creatures for free means that we don't have to play any spells that discount equip costs, freeing up space for additional interaction, card advantage, and equipment. Let's look at the deck now, starting with our mana acceleration. With all of the equipment and other artifacts in the deck, we can play Mox Opal as a free ramp artifact, while Freya Crescent can add mana to cast equipment spells or pay for equip costs. While Foundry Beetle is in play, during our upkeep an artifact in our hand gets a perpetual 1 mana discount, while both Sunset Strike Master and Zookeeper Mechan are recently added mana dorks in red. We are playing all of the talismans and signets in our colors from the recent Arena Anthology expansions: Azorius Signet, Talisman of Progress, Izzet Signet, Talisman of Creativity, Boros Signet, and Talisman of Conviction. We also have the classic 2-mana ramp artifacts that can add colored mana: Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Ornithopter of Paradise, and Solar Transformer. At 3 mana, Danitha Capuchin, Paragon, gives our equipment a 1 mana discount, while the new Sokka Swordmaster from the Avatar Extra set discounts our equipment for an amount equal to the number of allies we control, which is great with our commander's ability to make ally tokens. Next we have our interaction, much of which is equipment. Swords to Plowshares and Lightning Bolt are extremely efficient removal spells, while we can usually enable Metalcraft to deal 4 damage to any target with Galvanic Blast. Citizen's Crowbar can be sacrificed to destroy an artifact or enchantment, while Chainsaw deals 3 damage to a creature when it enters, and gets better the more creatures die. Meanwhile, Lightning Greaves and Swift Foot Boots protect the creature they are attached to from spells or abilities that target them. Lauren of the Third Path destroys an artifact or enchantment when she enters, while Assimilation Aegis exiles a creature as long as it is in play, and turns creatures it is attached to into copies of the creature exiled with it. Finally, Ultima Weapon massively buffs the creature it is attached to, and destroys a creature whenever the creature it is attached to attacks. Next, we have our card advantage, including ways of tutoring specific equipment. SRAM Senior Edificer lets us draw a card whenever we cast an equipment spell, while Stoneforge Mystic can search up any equipment and can cheat expensive equipment onto the battlefield from our hand for only 2 mana. Stormbeacon Blade lets us draw a card if we attack with at least 3 creatures, including the creature it is attached to, while Cloud Midgar Mercenary searches up any equipment and doubles the triggered abilities of any equipment attached to him. Meanwhile, the Reality Chip lets us cast spells and play lands off the top of our deck while it is attached to another creature. Cullen the Fade-Blooded has an adventure Birthright Boon that lets us search up any equipment, and acts as an anthem for our other creatures as long as there are equipment attached to him, while Akiri Fearless Voyager lets us draw a card whenever we attack with 1 or more equipped creatures, and can protect our equipped creatures from removal. Buster Sword lets us draw a card when the creature it is attached to hits the opponent, and then casts a spell from our hand for free equal to or less than the amount of damage dealt, while Sword of Fire and Ice provides protection from red and blue, and draws a card and deals 2 damage to any target when the creature it is attached to hits the opponent. Sword of Forge and Frontier provides protection from red and green, and whenever the creature it is attached to hits the opponent, lets us exile the top two cards of our library, which we can play this turn, and we can also play an additional land. While Serena Bargain Spinner, aka Sun Spider Nimble Webber, searches up any equipment when she enters. The Ether Spark is both a Planeswalker and an equipment that gains additional loyalty equal to the combat damage dealt by the creature it is attached to on our turn. Its plus ability lets us attach it to a creature, while its minus ability lets us draw 2 cards. And it is actually not all that difficult to reach its ultimate, which lets us add 10 mana of any one color. Finally, Nahiri Forged in Fury gets a discount equal to the number of equipment we control, and while she is in play, lets us exile the top card of our library for each attacking equipped creature, and play cards exiled in this way until end of turn. And we can cast equipment exiled in this way for free. Next, we have a handful of ways of giving our creatures haste, allowing the ally tokens our commander generates to attack immediately. Fervor, reprinted in the Avatar Extra set, gives all our creatures haste, although the downside is that it requires a mythic wildcard to craft, while Rising of the Day gives all our creatures haste and buffs our legendary creatures. We will usually choose the mode on Frost Cliff Siege to give our creatures haste and additional power, but if we already have a haste enabler in play, we can choose the Siege's other mode to draw a card whenever one or more of our creatures hit the opponent. The new Wartime Protesters from Avatar puts a +1/+1 counter on our other allies when they enter and gives them haste until end of turn, while Nahiri's Resolve gives haste and buffs our creatures' power. The Resolve lets us flicker any number of creatures and artifacts end of turn, which is great with all of our creatures that can tutor for equipment when they enter. Our final category consists of the bulk of our equipment, in order to ensure that we have critical mass of equipment to consistently enable our commander. Colossus Hammer provides a massive buff to power and toughness, and normally has an exorbitant equip cost, but we can get around it with our commander's abilities. While Shadow Spear gives lifelink and trample, it has an activated ability to remove hexproof and indestructible from opposing permanents. Plate Armor is an efficient equipment that gets a discount to its equip cost the more other equipment we control, while Lion Sash acts as graveyard hate. Mace of the Valiant provides a bigger buff to the creature it is attached to the more creatures enter under our control, while Bearded Axe gets better the more equipment we control. Anduril, Flame of the West, makes a pair of tapped flying spirit tokens whenever the creature it is attached to attacks, and those spirits are attacking if that creature is legendary, while Sword of Feast and Famine provides protection from black and green, and, whenever the creature it is attached to hits the opponent, forces the opponent to discard a card and untaps all of our lands. Sword of Truth and Justice provides protection from white and blue, and puts a +1/+1 counter on one of our creatures, and then proliferates whenever the creature it is attached to hits the opponent, while Sword of Vengeance buffs the equipped creature's power and provides a host of keywords. Leyline Axe can be put onto the battlefield for free if it is in our opening hand, and provides double strike and trample, while Machinist's Arsenal comes attached to a hero token and buffs the equipped creature equal to the number of artifacts we control. Ember Cleave can be flashed in as a combat trick, and is discounted the more attacking creatures we control, and provides double strike and trample, while finally, Meteoric Mace provides a massive buff to power and trample, and cascades when we cast it. As a 3-color deck, we have mostly dual lands, as well as fetch lands to search up our islands, plains, and mountains, including our non-basic ones. We don't have room for many utility lands, but we do have Adagia Windswept Bastion, which when fully stationed lets us make token copies of our artifacts or enchantments, Iganjo, Seat of the Empire, which can be channeled for additional interaction, Ishgard, the Holy See, which has an adventure, Faith and Grief, that lets us return up to 2 artifacts or enchantments from our graveyard to our hand, Rivendell for card selection, and Axgard Armory, which can be sacrificed to tutor up any equipment we want. So that's our Sokka and Suki deck. Now it's time to take it into the queue and to play some games. On the draw, facing Golbez Crystal Collector, so Demir Artifacts. I think this is keepable. We do have 3 lands. Too bad we don't have ramp, but I think this is still fine, so let's try it. We draw land. I don't have a turn 1 play, so we can fetch a tap land. Since I've got 3 other lands in hand, I don't need to dig for land with the Surveil land, so maybe I'll fetch Raugreen Triumph. Opponent plays Golbez. I think I'll lead with Swiftfoot Boots and then play Cloud and equip the boots. Although Cloud won't have a good attack with the boots on. So now I could play Talisman of Creativity instead. Don't have anything to do with the mana. And then I think I search up a sword that gives protection from blue or black. Don't have a sword that gives protection from both. Opponent's got a pretty full hand, so I think my only sword with protection from black is the one that makes opponent discard and untaps their lands. Opponent holds up 1 mana. So it could be Counterspell. I think we tap manual here to ensure we have double white. Okay, it doesn't look like they have a Counterspell. Or maybe they don't have a Counterspell at 1 mana for artifacts. The Spectrum Sentinel is colorless, so it can still block. Alright, so I think it's Feast and Famine here. Though I might want to play Sokka and Suki. Well, there goes Cloud. I think it's Sokka and Suki and then play Stormbeacon Blade, and we can equip Sokka and Suki with the boots. Gains life with Sentinel, holds up 2 mana. I can replay Sokka and Suki if they've got a counterspell for them. don't really have attacks. Opponent ramps with Demir Locket. Foundry Beetle. I think I like playing Nahiri's Resolve here. And we'll wait until I can draw a card to attack with the token with Storm Beacon Blade attached to it. Opponent takes 4. So this triggers off Enter. So I think I'll flicker Storm Beacon Blade. I'll keep Swiftfoot Boots on Sokka and Suki so opponent can't remove them. This is obnoxious. I think it's Leyline Axe Foundry Beetle. I think I want to hang on to the sword. While we draw the land. And then let's fetch... I've already got basic mountains, so I'll have to fetch a dual land. Let's get Steam Vents. And then I can flash in Embercleave. Alright. Alright, opponent falls to 5. And then let's... exile Embercleave and Stormbeacon Blade. I'll keep Sword of Feast and Famine and Swiftfoot Boots for protection. Arcane Signet.
Yeah, you won't stop me.
Alright, opponent draws a card, but they're tapped out. I mean, for 1 mana, there's not really anything they can do.
Stay alert. Something's up.
They might return a creature to hand, so they can trigger Kaido again. But they're tapped out, so they're pretty dead.
I've got the technological edge.
Now the drone is colorless. Alright, I can swords. I guess the drone. And that's enough for opponent. Alright. So we fought through some disruption and got the job done. And here's Resolve. Even though we didn't have any specific enter abilities on our equipment, just flickering it with our commander in play was great. Alright, on we go. On the draw, facing Azlask, the Swelling Scourge. I've got some ramp with Sunset Strike Master. Sword of Feast and Famine, not likely to be especially useful. None of the Cycle of Swords will be, assuming opponents playing all colorless creatures, or mostly. I think this is keepable. And then I think opponent leads with Springleaf Drum. We don't have a turn 1 play, so we'll play tap land. I could fetch Chainsaw with Stoneforge Mystic, because that would answer Azlac, although then opponent would get an experience counter. I've still got 2 lands in hand, so I think I'll fetch my Triumph rather than a Surveil land. We draw a Borrow Signet. I guess I'll play the Signet here. It's less likely than the Strike Master to get removed by interaction if the opponent's got any in hand. Opponent ramps with Magnifying Glass. play Sokka and Suki and fetch a tap land with Polluted Delta. I could also play the Strike Master. I kind of like the idea of ramping some more. And then Stoneforge Mystic. Not sure if I want to get Chainsaw. Nahiri's Resolve I can use to flicker the Stoneforge Mystic. I think let's get the Aegis, since its interaction, but it doesn't kill the opponent's creature, so they don't get an experience counter. Of course, if I use it to remove Aslask, opponent's likely to return Aslask to the command zone. But the great thing is, once I've gotten Nahiri's Resolve in play, I can flicker the Aegis. There's Aslask. So I can get a 1-mana discount. To play the Aegis with Stoneforge Mystic. I think we play Sokka and Suki first. And then let's play Tap Foundry. Polluted Delta can fetch basic island. Opponent kicks Microspawn. Which is kind of annoying. Opponent's got 2 mana. I think I like getting Nahiri's Resolve down, so I can start flickering the Aegis and Stoneforge Mystic. I don't want to trade Sokka and Suki, so no attacks. And then we'll flicker Mystic and Aegis. And now I think we'll get Chainsaw because it can destroy the Myco spawn, I mean. And that's enough for opponent. Alright. On we go. On the draw. Only 2 lands. I think I'd rather look for a hand, opening hand with 3 lands in it, so I think this is mulligan, even though I do have Talisman of Conviction for ramp. Let's look for 3 lands. Okay, still only 2 lands. But I can fetch... I guess this wants to fetch untapped land, so I can play Signet or Talisman. I've got plenty of ramp, so I think even though I only have 2 lands, we can keep this. Also have Nahiri's Resolve. Draw Meteoric Mace. Which is one of the most expensive cards in the deck, so complete opposite of a land. Alright, there's a land. Only makes white. Can play Talisman into Colossus Hammer. Mox Opal makes mana, but I don't have anything to cast with it, so I think I'll wait to play it. Opponent with some life gain synergy. Glacial Fortress comes into play tapped. I think I like getting Nahiri's Resolve out there. And then I think I'll fetch a Surveil land this time instead of my Triumph. And then what am I hoping to draw? I've got land in hand. Opponent missing land drops. Another land wouldn't be that bad a draw. Let's get the Parlor for red. Sokka Swordmaster. Sure. Still can't play anything even if I play Mox Opal, so I think I'll still hang on to it. And then there's no point in flickering anything right now. Opponent finally hits land 4. For Essence Channeler. Hits this for 1. Land, okay. Sokka and Suki only trigger off equipment. Opponent takes it. And then we'll flicker Colossus Hammer. I could also flicker both Sokka and Suki and Sokka Swordmaster to protect them from sorcery speed removal, but that's enough for opponent. Alright, I'll take it. On we go. On the draw, I think I have yet to be on the play. Only 2 lands. Sundown Pass. Enters tapped right now. But I've got Leyline Axe in my opening hand, so I can put it onto the battlefield for free. And Kellen can search up an artifact, which could be useful. And I've got plenty of ramps, so I think we'll try this. Wouldn't mind a way of giving my creatures haste. Or some more card advantage. Alright, drew a land, that's great. So now I can fetch a tap land. So Kellen might want to find Chainsaw, although by the time I am able to deploy it, Nikanzil might already be too big. So maybe I get Assimilation Aegis? I think I'll fetch Triome here. Arcane Signet. Let's fetch... Fetch Basic Island, I guess. Could be relevant to save myself some life loss. And then if I play Talisman, play Mox Opal, I can play... Or Arcane Signet. Mox Opal, I can play... Solar Transformer, or Talisman, or find an equipment with Kellen. Let's play Solar Transformer. Opponent explores. Alright, so I could get Chainsaw. Can I play Talisman, Cloud or Kellen, and still play Chainsaw? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5. I can. I think we'll use Kellen's Adventure here. I could still get the Aegis, but maybe we can get that with Cloud. And it's not the most mana efficient to play Chainsaw, but I think I want to remove Nikanzo before they put a counter on him, so we'll play Chainsaw. Opponent ramps with Cultivate. It's a Switch River Herald Scout. Alright, we do land. So I can easily replay Nikanzo here. But I think it's Sokka and Suki, Cloud, find something. I'll have 3 mana. Could fetch Assimilation Aegis. I think I get protection from blue. Go Sword of Fire and Ice. Opponent replays Nikanzo. Swords. I think I equipped Sword of Fire and Ice to Cloud. And I can attack with Sokka and Suki. They've got double strike anyway, so opponent can't really block. Right now, anyway. Let's take out the scout and deal 2 damage to the opponent here. Good thing I have lots of artifact ramp, with Harbinger of the Seas coming up. Alright, Vivian can take out one of my equipment.
Watch out! I'm on the hunt.
Flushes
We're the
instead.
predators. You're the prey.
So I think I equip Leyline Axe to Cloud. So with double strike I get double the triggers, and I think we swords the River Herald guide here. And that's enough for opponent. Alright. Yes. Because with Cloud having double strike, we would have triggered the Sword of Fire and Ice 4 times. So I wouldn't even need to attack Vivian Reed, because I could use Sword of Fire and Ice triggers to get rid of her. Or 2 to cancel 2 to opponent's face. Which would also clear Nakanzel as a blocker for my other attackers. Alright, on we go. On the draw again. Only 2 lands and only 1 ramp card, so I think this is a mulligan. Look for 3 lands. Swiftfoot Boots could be useful. But I think we still look... Okay, this is better. No ramp, but I do have Leyline Axe, which I can put directly into play. So I think we can keep this. And then I've got Kellen to search up an equipment. Draw a Bearded Axe. Play tap land. Opponent ramps with Arcane Signet. Swiftfoot Boots. I'll fetch Steam Vents. I think we play the boots. And then I can play Sokka and Suki, equip the boots to them. Wouldn't mind drawing another red source. I have to say, being able to equip an equipment to Sokka and Suki for free when they enter is really helpful, especially when I've got the Swiftfoot boots. Alright, so opponent's going to make the Micro Tyrant really big, because they mailed 3 permanents. Lion Sash. If I equip Leyline Axe, Sokka and Suki can attack, but then that's my entire turn. Let's search up Assimilation Aegis. I could also search up Sword of Feast and Famine. Maybe that's better. And then we'll play Reality Chip so I can see what's on top. No attacks. Alright, so now I can play what's on top. Hoping there's a land underneath the Stoneforge Mystic here. There isn't. I think it's play Sword of Feast and Famine, and then equip the boots to the creature with the sword. I guess I can swords now. Do I swords Micro Tyrant or Mire Triton? Because I think I will swords now, so I hope to hit a land. Giving opponent 7 life feels kind of bad. I've been missing land drops. opponent hit my Ether Spark. Alright, this could be a problem. I'm surprised the opponent didn't attack with the Myco Tyrant. I mean, we're basically just dead to the Myco Tyrant here, so we're just playing at the string. Let's see what opponent might have disconnected. Well, that'll be a little bit too bad if they have. I might skip through this part. I guess I'll play Machinist's Arsenal here. Alright, let's see if opponent reconnects. We're basically dead. If they didn't have quite so many 1-1s and a 22-22 Myco Tyrant, I might have left the Machinist Arsenal untapped to block Lumira, but it doesn't matter here. Well, looks like opponent really has disconnected. That's too bad. I mean, I won't complain if they have. So I suppose I won't complain about a free win, but we definitely didn't deserve it. But these things happen sometime. And there we go. Alright. Let's take a look at the deck. Alright, so that was our Sokka and Suki deck. It's actually a somewhat similar strategy to the Sokka Tenacious Tactician, which is also a Jeskai commander. You're creating 1/1 ally tokens and buffing them, in this case through equipment. Now, Sokka and Suki, not quite as powerful as the Tenacious Tactician, because you do have to include lots more cards that aren't equipment compared to Tenacious Tactician, which you can virtually play all non-creature spells. But it's still a pretty powerful effect, as we saw, especially if we can combine it with haste. Nahiri's Resolve was great. Flickering equipment to re-trigger our commander was wonderful, and there were a couple of times when we were able to re-trigger other enter abilities, like with Stoneforge Mystic and the Assimilation Aegis. So that came in handy. It's possible you don't want as much ramp and maybe have some more cheaper equipment and perhaps cut some of the top end like Ultima Weapon or Meteoric Mace. That's another possible way of building the deck that I think could be perfectly valid. And that might also allow you to include a bit more interaction, which could be useful. But I think this was still a reasonable build. All the extra ramp can come in handy to double spell, which makes it easier to empty out our hand or pay for equip costs. So that is something to consider, and that's why I built the deck in this way. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Do please like and subscribe. If you'd like to see another Brawl Commander, maybe one from the new Lore and Eclipse set, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.